Hey everybody, today is going to be our last lesson on linear equations and inequalities, and we're going to be looking at solving for linear inequalities today. Now, in the last lesson, we looked at drawing a number line to represent the inequality, and this time we're going to look at solving as well as drawing a number line for these inequalities. So, this is going to follow a lot of the, or not a lot, all of the concepts that we learned for linear equations and how we went about solving for them. But we're going to have the added part of looking at the inequalities, so the greater than, less than, or equal to. So let's get going. Our first example is 2x plus 1 is less than 3. So what we need to do is we need to isolate x by itself. Before we can do that though, we have to combine our like terms. Now we have 2x plus 1 and we want to move this plus 1 to the other side of the equation. The way that we do that is we do the opposite. We have addition, so plus 1. So what we'll do is subtract 1. Oh, let's change that color. Subtract 1 and subtract 1. That cancels it off on the left-hand side. And we have 2x is less than 3 subtract 1, which gives us 2. Now we can isolate for x. We have 2x and we want x by itself, so we divide by 2 and we do it to both sides, divide by 2, canceling off on the left hand side, leaving us with just x is less than 2 divided by 2 gives us 1. So we have x is less than 1. Now we're going to draw just a rough image of a number line, and our value that we're going to write down is 1, and we have a number that is less than. So remember, when we are drawing the dots, there's a difference between the open dot and the closed dot. If it could be equal to that number, so it means it has a line underneath the less than or greater than, you would close that dot. If it does not have that line, you're going to leave it open, and then you're going to be drawing your arrow in the direction. So if it's less than, you're going to be drawing the arrow to the left, and if it's more than, you're going to be drawing the arrow to the right. So this is less than, so we're going to the left, and that's how it would look. B, I'm going to leave for you to complete. It's the exact same type of steps. The only difference here is we have a -7 instead of a +1, but you're following the exact same steps here. For C, we have 5x plus 1 is less than 2x subtract 7. So we need to first get all of our constants onto the right hand side and all of our variables onto the left hand side. In order to do that, we want to move the plus 1 to the right. So we want to do the opposite of +1, which is going to be -1. So we're subtracting 1 and subtracting 1, canceling it off on the left hand side, leaving us with 5x is less than 2x -7 subtract 1, which will give us -8. And we want to move our variables over to the right, or the left hand side, sorry. So we have to do the opposite of +2x, which is -2x. So we're subtracting 2x, subtracting 2x. That cancels it on the right, and we get 5x subtract 2x, which leaves us with 3x is less than -8. Now we have to isolate x by itself, meaning we have to get the 3 off of the x. So we divide by 3 and divide by 3, canceling it on the left-hand side, and we get x by itself, which is less than -8/3. So we now have to do our number line, drawing out our line, making our dash on there, and we have negative 8 over 3. And what we're going to do is first look at our greater than less than symbol. Does it have a line underneath it? If it does not, then we do an open dot. And if it's less than, we're putting our arrow to the left hand side. And that's because our x is less than negative 8 over 3. For D, I'm going to get you to complete this one on your own. You follow the exact same steps. You want to get all of your constants onto the right hand side and move your variables to the left hand side. And then you want to isolate for x. E, we're looking at 7a is greater than negative 21. We want to get the 7 off of the a, so we're dividing by 7 and dividing by 7 on both sides. Gets rid of it on the left hand side, leaving us with just a. And then we have greater than negative 21 divided by 7 gets us negative 3. We do our rough sketch of our number line, make our dash, and we have a number of negative 3. And our greater than less than symbol does not have the line underneath this. So that means that we're going to leave an open dot, and a is greater than negative 3. So we are drawing our arrow to the right. For F, it has a negative 5. Remember the rule, if you are dividing or multiplying by a negative, you are changing your symbol in the middle. So you're changing the direction that is facing when you are multiplying or dividing by a negative number. I'm going to leave that one for you to complete, and then check the OneNote once you've completed that to make sure you've done it correctly. For G, we have y over negative 4 is greater than negative 3. We want to get y by itself, and we have to do the opposite of what we've been given. So we've been given dividing by negative 4, we'll be multiplying by negative 4. That has to be done on both sides, giving us the left-hand side canceling off, leaving us with y. And then remember, if you're multiplying or dividing by negative, you have to change your symbol. So it is going to switch to the other direction. And we now have negative 3 multiplied by negative 4. Negative times a negative is a positive. So we have 12. So y is less than 12. Do our little sketch of our number line with a dash. Our number that we're going to write is 12. And we look at our greater than less than symbol. There's no line underneath this, so it is an open dot. And y is less than 12, so we are putting an arrow to the left, and that's how it'll look. For K, you're going to complete this on your own. Remember to follow the exact same rules as we did for the one above. Now we're moving on to I. I is 3x plus 1 is greater than 6x plus 4. What we need to start off with doing is getting our constants onto the right hand side, getting our variables onto the left hand side. So we want to do the opposite of adding 1, where we subtract 1 and subtract 1, canceling it on the left hand side, leaving us with just 3x. Our symbol stays the same, and we have 6x, and now we have positive 4 subtract 1, leaving us with positive 3. And we want to move our constant, not our constant, our variable of 6x over to the other side. So we want to subtract 6x and subtract 6x, canceling it on the right hand side. So we have 3x subtract 6x, giving us negative 3x is greater than positive 3, so we don't need to write the plus in front of it. The next thing we need to do is divide by -3 because we want to get x by itself. One thing to pay attention to is we did not flip the symbol for adding and subtracting, so when we are moving it to the other side. But when we're doing division or multiplication, we have to flip that symbol in the middle so that it's facing the other direction. When we do -3, it cancels off on the left hand side, and we have x, and this is going to flip so that it is facing to the, or opening to the right. So x is less than 3 divided by -3, which gives us -1, because you have only one negative there. So remember that whenever you're multiplying or dividing by a negative number, it is flipping that symbol. The last thing that we need to do is draw our number line, make our dash. Our number that we are working with is -1. And then the next thing you do is look at your symbol. Do you have a line underneath it? If not, it is an open dot, and it is going to be less than -1. So our line is pointing to the left-hand side. Now we have J, and you're going to complete this one on your own, following the exact same steps as what we just did above. Remember, you want your constants on the right-hand side, your variables on the left-hand side, and then you are isolating for x. Paying attention to if you have a negative that you are multiplying or dividing by, you are flipping that symbol in between. K is our last one on here. And we have to distribute the properties here. So we have to distribute this 2 within and this 3 within before we can get going. So we have to do -2 multiplied by x, which is -2x. -2 multiplied by 1, which is -2. Symbol stays the same. Then we have 3 multiplied by x, which is 3x, and 3 multiplied by -2, which is -6. So now we've distributed the numbers through the bracket. The next thing we want to do is collect the like terms. So we want to move the constants to the right-hand side and the variables to the left-hand side. So you could do this all in one, but I'm going to break it down again, as I have been, into 2 steps. So you would want to do the opposite. It was -2, you want to add 2 and add 2, giving us -2x, symbol stays the same, 3x, and then -6 plus 2 gets us -4. We want to now move our variable to the left-hand side. So we're moving this 3x to the left by subtracting 3x, subtracting 3x. This will give us -5x is less than -4. And our last thing that we need to do is isolate x by itself. Meaning we have -5x, so we divide by -5, divide by -5, canceling off the -5, leaving us with just x, but we divided by a negative number, meaning we flip our symbol to point the other direction, and we have -4 over -5. Well, we have a negative and a negative here, so that means we are getting rid of our negatives, so we're left with 4 over 5. Our last thing that we need to do is draw our number line, make our dash. Our value that we're working with is 4 over 5. We have a greater than symbol now because it flipped directions. So we have an open dot because it's greater than but not equal to. And our arrow is going to point to the right. We're going to do one more example of a problem. Now just write this down anywhere on your page so that you have it, because we're going to look at starting out with division. So 2 fractions here. When we have this type of setup, thinking back to what we did earlier in this unit, you need to first find your lowest common denominator. So your LCD. Our LCD, we look at the 7 and the 21. What is our lowest number that goes into this? Well, 7 goes into 14, goes into 21, and 21 would go into 21. So that is our lowest number that they both meet up at. So 21 is our lowest common denominator, meaning we put a 21 over here because we're multiplying it by 21, multiplying it by 21, and multiplying it by 21. What we want to do first is do 21 divided by 7. 21 divided by 7 gets us 3. And because we have this x plus 1, we are going to put that in brackets because we want the 3 affecting all of that. So we're going to have 3x plus 1 closing that bracket. Our symbol stays the same here, and we have 21 and 21. What would give us is 1, and then we have our 2x, so we're going to have it times by 2x, though multiplying by 1 won't change anything. So if you didn't write that 1 there, that is okay as well. The next thing we have is plus 4 multiplied by 21, us 84. Now we're able to work with this because we've got rid of those fractions, and we can look at this left-hand side where we have to distribute the 3. So we have to distribute the 3 inside the brackets. So 3 multiplied by x is 3x. 3 multiplied by 1 is 3, and it's positive. Then we keep our symbol the same direction. And we have 1 multiplied by 2, which gives us 2x plus 84. Just like we were doing before, we always want to get our constants to the right-hand side and our variables to the left-hand side. So we want to move this plus 3 over to the right by subtracting 3. Subtracting 3. This leaves us with 3x. Symbol stays the same. 2x, and we have 84 subtract 3, which is giving us 81, and it's positive. Now we want to move our 2x to the left-hand side by subtracting 2x, and we're going to get x by itself. Symbol stays the same, and we have 81. That'll bring us to the end of this question because we don't have to isolate x. It's already by itself. The next thing that we would do is draw our number line, make our dash. Our value that we're working with is 81. We have a less than or equals to, so this time we're filling in our dot. It's going to be a closed dot, and it's going to be pointing to the left because it's less than. So that's exactly how our number line would look for our final question there. So that wasn't on your booklet, but please just include it somewhere so that you have that example in front of you. If you have any further questions, please send me a message on Teams, or you can talk to me in class. Have a good day.